Well, today is the deadline set by a federal judge for the federal government to reunite more than 2,500 illegal immigrant families separated at the U.S.-Mexican border. Same judge who says reunification efforts are a remarkable achievement also calls the Trump administration policies deeply troubling. Eric Cedillo, immigration attorney in Dallas, also teaches at the SMU Law School. So this whole zero tolerance thing that was very quickly announced by President Trump seemed to take a lot of these federal agencies by surprise. So you're a teacher. Give the whole program a grade so far.
No doubt. The rollout was, the way in which they did it was too quick. As you mentioned, some of the agencies weren't prepared for what was going on. They had no anticipation of the reunification need after the fact, and we're seeing that in terms of how they're trying to attempt to reunify after the fact.
Pretty easy and straightforward when you have a single adult cross the border and how that's handled, right?
Absolutely.
It becomes a mess when you're involving children.
Right. You have a number of different protections, laws that might protect those individuals, and the triggering event was a separation. Once the children were separated from their parents, they were treated as unaccompanied minors, then a whole host of different laws applied to them, and that's why we're seeing some of the issues that are popping up.
In the mind of the president and many people who support, a lot of people who support him, it's very simple. If you don't want to be separated, don't come into the country illegally.
Well, you've got a number of individuals who are fleeing specifically from three countries in particular, El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. Some of these countries are just overrun by gang activity and other things. So these people have a choice. They can either flee for their lives and come and claim asylum here in the United States or stay. That's why you're seeing some of the efforts. You're hearing that some of the parents are actually leaving their children here to make their own asylum claims so that they don't have to take them back to their home country. So
they would rather stay there just as long as their children are, they feel safer here.
That's absolutely true.
I heard one man from Honduras, in fact, one of the countries you're talking about, who said, gosh, my brother came to this country and has had a great life in New York. He has a wonderful job. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, you just screwed your chances of being a political refugee.
Well, it just depends. The nature of asylum, it's a very difficult process to actually entertain once you go through the entire process. The actual granting of asylum, it's a really high threshold, so a lot of these individuals may go through the process and then eventually lose.
Some people came to the border checkpoints and did it what in legal terms is the right way. You go and you wait. You might be camping out for 3 or 4 or 5 days at a checkpoint in South Texas on the Mexican border and say, I am here fleeing persecution by, criminal activity in Honduras or El Salvador. Sneaking across the border and walking across the Rio Grande, you don't get that special treatment. Well,
you have to understand these folks are not as educated as one might think. The border is incredibly long. Coming in the right places, there are certainly some situations where people have waited to claim asylum, but you're right, the zero tolerance policy targeted those families that came and entered without inspection.
And now the president is saying gang violence doesn't count. On the one hand, he's talking about the violence of MS-13 in this country, but if you're a victim or potential victim of gang violence in your home country, it doesn't count.
Right. Attorney General Sessions came out with kind of his clarification of the law that has been in place, and that is something that we're going to start dealing with in terms of those asylum cases.
Right. You've got about a couple of hundred, maybe 463 parents who are already deported back into their home countries. Their kids are still here.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we'll probably see it's about 500 or so.
Okay. Eric, thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.